Yes, sir.
Here we are for our next interview we're here at the 2014 Pasadena Book Fair, sponsored by the Southern California chapter of ABAA. And our next interview is with Boris Bruton of Plaza Books. And Boris, I'm going to ask you to talk a little bit about your background, your family, siblings, schools, where you grew up, just a little biopic.
Okay, I grew up in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I'm a New Mexico lad, and the Southwest has always been really, really important to me. I have a brother, and I have two children. I've been in California, went to the University of New Mexico, and transferred after a year to Berkeley, and I've been in California almost, the rest of my life in San Francisco and in the Bay Area. And last year I decided it was time to move. So I'm up in the Seattle, Washington area now.
Oh, that's nice.
And it is very nice. It's quite a change, and I may not wind up in there, but at any rate, I'm enjoying it now. It's a very pleasant place, and everyone's been very friendly and welcoming to me there in their chapter. My degree, I've always been a kind of a bookish person, of course. I say of course because I don't see how you could be in this business without being a bookish person. And classics was my major. I've always been interested in languages, and I wanted, coming from New Mexico and my interest in the Southwest, I wanted to specialize in something like Mike Ginsberg does. And I found out rather quickly that I didn't have, the books were fairly well known, and were well known, and I didn't feel I could get into the business at that level, and I was looking around what my options might be. And it struck me Mexico might be an interesting area. Not many people are into it. And all it would require is brushing up on my Spanish, and I would be in like Flynn. And so that's what I did. I started going down to Mexico frequently, and I just started, asking around, and I learned the trade from that. I made mistakes, mostly mistakes of how to say it. I got good things. I didn't know how good they were because I was too new in the.
Happens to all of us.
And I'm sure that's true. And I wish I had those back. And I'll never see them again. But you go on. But that's it. And let's see now. My business experience. I've never worked with anyone, which I've always thought was a disadvantage. I've always had my own shop, been my own employer, except short time. And I certainly think the way to do this business, if the optimum way, is to work with someone and see their mistakes and learn from them.
What did you do when you graduated college?
Drove a taxi in San Francisco. What else do you do with a classics degree?
Either that or teach.
That's right, and I didn't want to teach. And I just, there's something innately impractical in my character that I never thought far enough ahead. And I'm sure my father was telling me, what are you doing? I did what I did. And
how long did you drive a cab?
I drove a cab here a couple of years in San Francisco. And what else did I do? I just knocked around with some odd jobs, then drove the taxi. Then I had a friend, and the friend had about 5,000 paperbacks, and I had about $2,000. And I said, well, let's start a business. And so we started Overland Books, was my first bookshop in San Francisco, in a hole in the wall in the Tenderloin, not a good neighborhood in San Francisco. And I don't, Mike, I don't think I ever lost money. I think it just went. And it was like, I think this profession is in so many ways a vocation. I like the priesthood.
Yeah.
I think that.
Yeah, it's sort of like that. What year did you find yourself beginning to think in terms of opening a bookstore?
I'm not good on dates. Let's see, I must have been about 28, that would be 71, 70, somewhere around there, 69, 70, 71. And it was a very easy thing to do, and getting in the business, I think, is pretty easy.
Yeah, staying in it is hard.
Staying in it can be a little more difficult. But I opened that little shop, and I called it Overland Books because I wanted to specialize in the West.
Yeah.
It was always my interest. Never was able to at that point. I had to have a general shop to make things go, and that was all right. I never had a problem with that until much later, and I really did need did want to get into a particular area. But it was. I was there. I had my shop about a couple of years. Then I went into business. That would be about 72, 73, with Maurice Powers at the California Book Auction.
Yeah.
And Maurice had a shop attached to his auction house, and he needed someone to run the shop. And so I did that. And the shop was an odd mixture of new and used books, and a mixture that I don't think is like oil and water. They don't really mix.
This should be two separate entities.
They should be two separate entities, and I found myself being constantly, the demands of a new bookshop are quite different.
Yeah, much different.
And, you've got a budget. And who's ever heard of a budget in the used bookshop?
What's a budget?
What's a budget? The books come, you've got to buy them.
And then you sell them.
That's right. That's right. So so I got more and more sucked into the new aspect of it. I didn't really like, but I did okay in it. And books have been books have been good to me.
Books, she's been good to me.
Books, she's been good to me.
Chico Escuela.
So we did that, and then
How long did Overland Book stay in the Tenderloin?
Overland Book was in the Tenderloin about 3 years.
And then what did you do from then?
Then I went into Maurice Powers and
Right.
Golden Gate Bookshop. That was the name of it, Golden Gate Books. And that was about another 3 years. Then the University of California bought our lot, bought our shop. They wanted to turn it into a parking garage.
Good for them.
Yeah, thank you. And they moved us in one night, an entire bookshop.
Wow.
A large bookshop. It was the University of California. It was 30 guys with all kinds of equipment. And
Absolutely.
yeah, there was just nothing, it was just amazing. Kept everything in alphabetical order and in the sections and just to the new location. So altogether about 4 or 5 years, I think then, and then had a first baby and wanted to move out of the city, and we moved up to Petaluma. So this would be in 80. So I think we're right about 1980. And that caused a little bit of disjuncture in my life because didn't quite see how I could make a living as a book dealer in Sonoma County, which was still at that point kind of rural. And I was thinking used books, well, that's a city, that's a city business.
Thing.
And so I knocked around about a couple of years, went into land surveying, and what else did I do? I got a degree in mathematics, taught math. I was about 5 years out of the business. when I got back into the business, nothing had changed. It was the same people. And that old adage that once you get in this business, you're unfit for decent labor proved to be true. It was all the same people.
Yeah, yeah. We're like a bunch of square pegs trying to fit into round holes.
Exactly. Yeah. And I didn't fit in the
most
school.
Of us don't.
And, yeah. I said, oh my God. I was so glad to get back in the book business. Steve Blackmer of Chanticleer, whom we've interviewed, took me on, and as help to him. And once I did that, after about 6 months, I said, well, look, if I'm going to work for someone, I might as well work for myself. I know how to do this.
Yeah.
So I opened my own shop in Sonoma. Now we're up to about 1980 now, and 1980, yeah, 75, 1980 would be the shop in Sonoma. That was Plaza Books, and I've kept that name ever since. Mm-hmm. I was right on the plaza in Sonoma.
Right.
And if you came to Sonoma, everyone just kind of went around the plaza.
Yeah.
And they would come to my shop. And I could rely on people coming in, oh, a used bookshop. How charming.
Yeah.
They would ask for things like, letters of Walter Hines Page. And oh, of course I did. And I could charge, it was a halcyon time. It was just, it was before the internet. And I could buy books almost, come down to San Francisco and buy books almost anywhere and bring them up to my shop and double my money.
Yeah.
And it was just a very, very, very good trade. And I liked it there a lot, and was there 15 years. Was there 15 years on the plaza. And it was a general shop. And toward the end of that 15 years, I started getting into the Mexico material.
Yeah, I remember coming to your place and seeing all that stuff. I couldn't understand what it meant because it was in Spanish, but other than that, it looked nice.
That was my advantage, I thought.
Yeah, it is a serious advantage when you think about it.
It has done me very well. You think Spanish, a lot of people speak Spanish, but it's been a very helpful.
How many booksellers speak Spanish?
And that's surprising, and it's been a very helpful entree into my specialty. And so the last couple of years, I think I was debating, do I want to continue the store? My daughter was in college, I had to pay for her, and I really wanted to get into the Mexican books, and wasn't able to see quite how to do it. I had this shop, and I lost my lease, and it was settled for me.
Well, yeah. Right down in there.
There's a Spanish proverb: when God closes the door, He opens a window. And the window was, I sold my stock to Powell's.
Yeah.
Michael Powell came down himself, and we had a very amusing interchange and negotiation, but we came to an amicable. I lost money. That was the only time I think I actually had, but that was a necessity. I didn't want to move into storage or anything like that. So I kept my Mexican material, and I sold everything else, and I've worked out of my dining room ever since, and it's perfectly fine.
When did you move up to the Pacific Northwest?
Just recently.
How
Just recently, a year.
Oh, okay.
I've only been up there a year.
Are you in Portland or Seattle?
Out of Seattle. It's called a little town called Port Townsend.
Oh, I know what that is.
Yeah, that's where the Juan de Fuca meets Puget.
Yeah.
So I see all the
How far are you from Southworth?
Don't know the place.
It's on Puget Sound, northwest of Seattle.
Mike, that is the most confusing geographical place I have ever lived in.
Yeah, it is kind of strange, isn't it?
Yeah, I carry a compass with me the whole time because I don't know where I'm north or south. I'm still learning. And so Southwood, I'm sorry, I've never heard of.
That's okay.
I know where Seattle is.
Well, I remember it used to be where it used to be. I don't know if it's still there or not. Let's talk a little bit about some of the people who were mentors or who were inspirational or were influential for you as a bookseller.
I would say, let's see. learned so much from, it seems to me, just everyone. The particular mentors, though, would be, I learned a lot from Bill Ewald, who's not in our organization anymore, which is a pity. Don Connor.
May he rest in peace.
May he rest in peace. And that group of John Crichton was also very helpful for me. Jeffrey Thomas. And
May he rest in peace.
Then he as well.
So we're losing a lot of them.
Yes, yes. John Windle has been helpful to me. These are people I can go to and talk to at David Shevchik has been helpful.
David's a swell guy.
He's a swell guy. I like David a lot, and all of the dealers in my area have taught me things. They get things, and there's another dealer that Barry Cassidy.
Barry.
Over in Sacramento.
Yeah.
Eccentric as many of us are, but
another square peg trying to fit into a round hole.
Exactly.
Yeah. I've always bought nicely from him when I've
Yes.
gone up to see him.
Yes.
He's more of a dealer's dealer, I think.
I think he is too. One reason because he has very little patience, I think.
Yeah, he
public.
likes to sell things and buy more things. And
Right.
but he has a nice setup, and he's an enjoyable person to be with for a short period of time. And
Yes.
before he starts to get edgy.
Edgy.
But he's still a nice person.
I should mention Mike Mathis.
Oh yeah.
Mike Mathis was extremely helpful to me. There's a couple of Mexicans, Guillermo, Isaac Bacal, Mexican customers that were very good. Guillermo Tovar de Teresa, who just died, major Mexican collector and savant, helped me. And Howard Carno, another.
May he rest in peace.
Howard, the very first fair I did as a Mexicanista, as a specialist in Mexico, I was across the way from Howard, and he came over and said welcome, and was very friendly to me, and talked to me, and tried to help me not make the mistakes that oftentimes I made when I had it made anyway, because I was stubborn. But he was always very helpful, and I'm glad the shop is still thriving.
Yeah.
And Bev, and she was a very excellent dealer, and we get along very well. It's a little group. There are not very many of us that do our bailiwick, our neck of the woods, but we're all very friendly, and
what is the situation for you and the internet? Do you have a presence? You have your homepage? Do you subscribe to any of the services?
I subscribe to ABAA. I'm not on the ABAA page, which embarrasses me a bit. I need to address that. I do have a web page. I do have a website, and I mostly sell on. I mostly sell through my catalogs.
Yeah.
And my golly, I may be a very narrow. Not many of us maybe do that. I'm sure you do, but it's. I do about 3 or 4 times a year. I do a little catalog of about 40 items.
Yeah.
And pop it off and do it all in-house, and nothing fancy. List might be a better word than catalog, but it's my narrowly focused to the Mexico or Latin America, Guatemala, whatever. But it goes to my small customer base, and that's what really does it for me. I go to a fair like this, even the ABA fair, it's always so dicey. 99% of the people are not interested in what I've got.
Yeah.
And that's always a bummer, Mike. I love my stuff. And I come and I bring it, it's like Here I am.
Yeah.
Love me.
Yeah,
You know,
here I am. Buy from me. If you're not going to love me, at least buy something.
That's right.
You know?
And you know, I often, like in Seattle, I got basically shut out. I think I had one sale, and it wasn't a large sale. But I've had to learn, you know, that's what happens when you go into a specialty and you begin to put yourself into a corner. You know, what do you expect?
Yeah, I mean, you're dealing in a niche of a huge total picture, and you know, you're going to have fewer clients for that than
Come
other
on,
people.
Boris. Yeah, a reality check.
Yeah,
It's
is a reality check.
But it makes it very nerve-wracking. You know, you put up all your money, you come down here with all your goodies, and
Yeah. How are you doing at this show?
doing fine. I'm having good fare, but it's a small. Excuse me. It's a small. You know, I'll do 4, 5 sales. That'll be all I'll do.
Yeah, but you know, sometimes 4 or
They
5
have to be the
sales,
right.
Can be a tremendous amount of money.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so far,
There's one bookseller here who's made 2 sales that equal $100,000.
yeah, absolutely.
So you know, there are probably booksellers here who sell 1,000 books and maybe not get to $100,000.
Absolutely, yeah. I know that. I understand that very well, and so I'm thankful for what. Yeah.
Do you do much business on your web page or on through the internet?
As far as I'm aware, the web page is useless to me so far. I want to fine tune that. That's really out there for me, and I keep talking to people. Do you have a web page?
Yeah.
You have your own web page?
Yeah, I have a web page, but it's just like you. It's a page that will indicate what I deal in, and it has some links to catalogs or subject
Yes.
matters. But I do most of my business. I do by picking up the phone or by sending an email.
Yeah.
Because when you build up a customer base over 50 odd years, it's a little easier than somebody who's building up a mailing list after 4 or 5 years
Absolutely,
in the trade. It's
absolutely.
a huge difference.
Well, we're somewhat similar in that respect, for sure. As far as I'm aware, my webpage is useless, and my ABE cashes in every now and then, and it's my catalogs that, and phone contacts and whatever that.
But you need to get on the ABAA Biblio. I think that's who we're using. It's Biblio. We do more sales. I do more sales. Not that there's a lot, but I do more sales on Biblio than any of the other.
Biblio.
Yeah.
Biblio.com.
Yeah.
Is that right?
And that's the ABAA's partner in the ABAA.
It's not the ABA site.
Yeah, no, but you can go on to Biblio, and that's what most ABA dealers do.
I'll talk to you after.
But Biblio is a good thing to get on,
Okay.
especially for somebody dealing in Americana. I don't know about anything else. I just tell you about that.
Yeah.
We have a couple more minutes, and I want to ask you 2 more questions before I let you go. And one of them is, what do you see as some of the challenges that face us as an association and as a bookseller in the years to come?
Well, boy, I see so many. I mean, it's I don't know if it's so many, but it's that one big one. Are the young people? What is the future of the book? I mean, you must see it as well. I mean, this ephemera, maps, visual material, photography.
That's the thing. This era is right now.
That's right.
Visual.
It's visual, and I don't see that changing. I see that getting stronger and stronger. The fairs, my sales are being driven by photo albums and a map or something like that, and my book stock moves much slower and has a much smaller audience, and so that's what I that visual impact of that we see all over in the society. I mean, what's going to happen to the book? I don't know, but certainly the ephemera seems to be where it's at. In the broadest sense.
Yeah, it does seem to me that this generation is more visually oriented than past generations, but that can also change quickly.
It could. So I don't really have. an intelligent opinion on the subject. But I'm thinking of, you read something like A. Edward Newton.
That's, even if you read
Another
Charlie Everett,
Charlie Everett, right?
Dr. Rosenbach, and
Yeah.
it's an era that I don't think is ever going to come back.
No, that's another thing. Someone was just telling me the 3 categories. A book must be important to be of value. It must be in good condition. It must be rare to make the value. Those aren't operative anymore.
No.
The book, the item doesn't need to be important. It can be ephemeral, totally ephemeral, and it just visually
appealing,
and that makes the sale.
That's it.
That makes the sale.
Well, Boris, we've come to the end of our 30-minute interview.
Is that right?
Yeah, it goes by very quickly.
Oh, I was nervous. I couldn't fill 30 minutes.
Thanks so much for participating.
Thank you, Mike, for
Enjoyed
doing
it.
this. It's a great service to us.